In this session, we have to take the already discussed previously. We have already discussed the forecasting, different type of forecast and classifications. Now, in this chapter, we have to that what is the system of forecasting. So, demand forecasting systems are there. So, as an activity within an organization, forecasting is required to provide relevant information regarding the future production, marketing, finance and other required planning process. Means in activity in an organization, why forecasting is required? Forecasting is required to provide relevant information for the future, regarding the future of production making, finance and other required for the planning process. The function is performed by a system. This function, because these are the function output and input there, so this function performed by a system which is like any other system, can be analyzed in the terms of its 6 key components. Means this function will work for giving the forecasting. This system will work, forecasting system will work with the 6 key components. So, the first components we are taking that one, forecasting system output means information given by a forecast, means forecasting system output means what is the output of forecast, means it is forecasted that 6 months for the year or 6 months, that this much of demand will be there, this much of raw material will be there, this much of production cost will be there. So, this is the output of the forecasting system. What is the input? The forecasting system input that information needed to prepare a forecast, means what are the data is required for forecasting, that is the input of the forecast. What are the raw data is required, sales data, previous past data, historical data is required. These are the inputs of forecasting system. What are the forecasting constraints? The constraint is also available. The factors limiting the method used, means suppose we have to using past data, but we have to forecast for the new product. So, this past data cannot be used for the new product and new line. So, we don't have the that data. So, forecasting constraint is there, that limiting the method used. Forecasting system decisions means what will be the decision in forecasting, which system we have to take for implementation. Forecasting system performance criteria means what is the performance of that system, means it is a what we forecast output is there, that is exactly telling with actual happening, that is a good forecast, that is a performance of criteria. Forecasting method, for converting input to output, there will be a conversion process. Forecasting is the mechanism or a technique by which taking the inputs we convert the outputs, means what actually we demand, what actually we need. Then we have to discuss the step by step what is the key factors for the forecast, which we have already detailed you, that forecasting system inputs. What is forecasting system inputs? The information data required as input for the preparation of a forecast of demand can be obtained from internal or external source. Means what is the demand from the other industry, that same time of competitor, the same competitor as producing the products. So, we can know that what will be the demand is there. So, for the internal and external source for a short and medium range forecast, and this can be this system can be occurred for a short and medium term forecast. For a stable environment, one usually relies on internal sources, means our suppose the product is same. So, our past historical data or sales data will be quite useful inputs for forecasting system. So, often supported by some kind of economic forecast is there. Historical data in the form of time series, means what time it is available for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So, type of requirement is also changing in the market. So, we have to say not much more old data, but we can have a certain old data which will guide us a time series, a previous order volume to forecast it for sales, expert opinion, and for other things, order volumes and sales. The expert opinions of the company staff and experts, results of a specific survey are often found useful information input generated internally. So, what will be that we can talk to our production people, sales people, that what is the company opinions of company staff, that will give a useful information for giving the inputs. For formulating the long term strategy to new product, process and markets information from the external source concerning competitors, new trends and technology likely to develop on the political and economic, social and international scenario become extremely valuable. Additional source of information may include, what type of that, if you are going for the long strategy on the new product, suppose the product is quite new, so we do not have data, we do not have the past data. So, for the long strategy, suppose if you are planning for the 5 to 10 years, and the type of product, what will be the type of product will be available in market, we can think and imagine the things, and these data, input data for which one is not available with us. So, we know the external source concerning the competitors, new trends, what type of technology is coming that way, what is the trend in technology changes, what is the scenario, what will be the scenario in political, economic and social and international scenario become extremely valuable. So, this scenario, this political, economic, social and international scenario is quite important for the forecast inputs. So, additional source of information, also we can take some source of information like trade generals, engineering generals, industry experts, private consulting firms and the government. Now, we have already discussed the forecasting system inputs. Now, we have to discuss the forecasting system outputs. To plan for a different period in the future, the production manager we need a forecast of expected demand rather than a future sales. Means we have know what exactly demand is there, we have to know, not the future sales. So, demand is represented by the order received from the customer. Means what we have received the order for customer for 6 months, for a year, for the months. So, that is taken as a demand, which while sales refer to shipment, means the sales means that what type of the previous sales is there, old data, that what type of sales refer to shipments. Demand may be different from the sales on account of the several regions. One region could be lost sales due to limited production capacity, another could be delay in timing of shipment due to production lead times, where there is no record of customer orders, and maybe the no other opinion but to rely on the sales data only. So, what we have done that exactly we have to rely on sales data, but we have to, how we rely on the demand in comparison to sales data, because the sales data may be a sales lost is there, or shipment is there, or there is a more lead time of there, so shipment cannot be done. So, there is a delay in sales. So, in this one the lost sales, there will be limited production capacity and requirement is much more than the constraint is there, that we can have a product, output product will be less. So, in this way not only sales data is required for the demand, but if there is no data available, if a new product is there, no record of customer orders there, no other opinion is there on the sales data, then it is remembered that resulting forecast may not be have relaxed exactly to the future demand for the region stated. Meaning exactly a complete forecast is there. It is not near or to the actual thing is to be happen. So, it may be happen, it may not be happen. So, it should be very careful about that, and we have to see that the output which is coming from forecast, this should be realistic figure, or this should be realistic one to meet the customer demand. So, we are discussing the output of forecasting system can be expressed in several forms depending the use it will put to. For example, for its use to formulate a marketing strategy, the estimate of future demand may be expressed in the form of rupees sales broken down by the region by customer attributes such as age, sex, education and social status. We can have a survey also, we can do a wide line survey is there concerning to the customer attributes, the like age, sex, education, social status, that what this type of product, how much will be helpful to their customers. So, we can have estimate the future demand by this way, and we can have a forecasting system will give you output that this much of demand will be there. So, we can have a do the production accordingly. For selecting the length of planning period for forecast, we should know the system reaction time also called the lead time, to changes its some key characteristics frequency with which such decisions are considered, that is management. Means what we have a planning process input to the output, then will be management review is there. So this is the decision taken within the management review, the time taken in management review is the lead time. So definitely this lead time is much maybe much more, because management need to see these pros and cons of the things, and see the future of the product, and see the profit and induction in the market. So we have to such frequency, some key characteristics and frequency which such decisions are considered. So it is a management purview which take the more lead time. Now again coming to the management review time depends on the company policy as to how often should certain changes is desired. The hiring of casual labor may be reviewed on weekly, even daily basis, but decision related to capacity expansion, capacity addition may be considered not less than 2 to 3 years. So after most recent addition, a general rule that forecast over the period at least equal to the lead time plus the review time for the production inputs and capacity changes under considerations. Means we have to if management review is for the casual labor or subcontract is there, it will be the decision will be taken immediately. But we have to change the capacity, or we have to addition of capacity expansions. See, this will take at least 2 to 3 years. So decision cannot be taken in the fast one. So there is general rule there. Forecast must cover a period at least equal to the lead time plus review time for the, because the total lead time is the input converting to output forecast method, and management review time. This both will be added for the production output or capacity changeover under consideration. Example, in a company, inventory level is viewed bi-weekly. If the parts used in assembly have a lead time or one at a half work, what period should be a forecast of requirement of parts over replenishment? Solution, forecast method, lead time plus review period. What is the lead time? 1.5. What is the management review period? 2 weeks. So there is a 3.5 weeks. So conclusion is that replenishment of the parts requires a forecast of requirement at least 3.5 weeks into the future. I think this will clear your evident by this example. It is evident that how we will take the lead time, and what is the lead time, and what will be the exactly period of the lead time. Forecasting system constraint. What are the constraints which have a limit our forecasting method? What are the constraints? The constraints imposed on the forecasting system greatly affect the selection of the forecasting method, the value of forecast prepared. Some important constraints are the time available to prepare the COSTAR, the expertise within the organizations. These are the constraints which can limit the forecast. The available computing facility, the lack of availability of relevant data from the internal or external source, the quality of available data. These are the constraints and limitations of the forecasting system. So by this way, there is a conclusion that the constraint 145 means the time available to prepare the forecast, the lack of availability of the relevant data from internal external source, the quality of available data seriously affect the quality of forecast. Means this 145 can seriously affect the quality of forecast, while in effects for the constraint 2 and 3. 2 and 3 means the expertise within the organization and the available computing facility. This can be increasing the budget allocation to forecasting. Means we have a computing facility there, so we can put the more capital to have a modern computing facility and more effective fast computing facilities there, and the expertise can, organization can, we can have a the capacity can be added by adding the by flowing the more money on that one to have a latest method expertise within the organization, we can procure that way. So this is how the constraint affects that 145 seriously affect the quality of forecast, with the effect constraint 2 and 3 neutralized by increasing the budget, that can be neutralized by budget allocation of the forecast. Forecasting system decisions means after we are coming to the decision. So management must decision with regard to data, method, and will be used to prepare forecast. The data may be available in the form of needed or may need adjustment or aggregations if demand data is available. For the past several years, decision has to be made how far back you go, means how far take the historical data, the 15. The choice of method to be used for preparation of forecast method depends upon the quantity and quality of data available, means what are the past data available, the time needed, and the expertise that is available or it can be. What are the criteria of the forecasting system performance? The effectiveness of a forecasting system serving in operation can be determined by using any or all of the following 4 criteria. There are the 4 criteria that we can measure the performance of the forecasting system. First criteria is the time required to prepare the forecast, accuracy of forecast, objectivity in the treatment of past data, stability and sensitivity of time required. Means they are the 4 criteria by which can measure the performance of the forecasting system. Accuracy of forecast, greater the accuracy of forecast, lower the associated error, definitely, because if the accuracy is much more than what we forecast, then exactly near to that actual happening is there. So what we plan, the real thing will happen near to planning, then is having the error is lower. So this forecast is coming in very good. The forecast error, which means difference between the actual demand and forecast demand, is always translated into cost. Definitely, because if we demand is there, if actual demand is much more and the forecast is for the less, then this will be stock out cost will be there. Again, we have to procure the raw materials. This definitely the cost is will incurred. A negative error meaning the actual demand is less than forecast demand. A negative error means actual demand is less than forecast demand, which I have told you. Results in idle capacity of surplus means if he forecasted much more and but actual demand is not a half of that much more, then what is there, that actual demand is less, then we have to manufacture less items, so our capacity will be idle. There will be a surplus inventory in that, and the cost of money is tied up with the capital. A positive error meaning the actual demand is much more than the forecast demand causes shortage, foregone profits and loss of goodwill also. So this accuracy of forecast is very much essential to be studied, very much essential to save the cost of production and the cost of manufacturing. Forecast is after all a forecast by attempt should be made to be enough accuracy to be forecast, and the combined cost of surplus and shortage of inventory and capacity as the minimum. So we have to see that what we are choosing the forecasting method, so that's the system that should be attempt should be made that a proper forecasting method should be used, so that the actual demand and the planned demand should be, the difference between that should be minimum, and by that one the shortage of inventory or its capacity or its excess should be minimum, the difference should be minimum, the error should be minimum. Stability and responsiveness means how this actual demand for a product generally varies randomly from period to period. Such variation may be hide on an underlying pattern due to long term growth or seasonal effects. A good forecasting system should smooth over such random variables, so the subsequent forecasts are not unduly affected by such irregular changes in doing the system display stability. Means the actual, if suppose we have forecast the demand for a product, generally it varies from time to time, for period to period. So such variation is there. We have to see also that we have amend the production process to have a right type of product and variables. So this will be those whole process should not be affected by that. In doing so, system display stability. At the same time, forecasting system is also expected to sensitive to the fluctuation observed to reveal any genuine changes that generate the demand for the product. In other words, it is desirable that forecasting system should be responsive to a sense of rise in the average level of demand due to recent market expansion rather than a smooth it out. Means a forecasting method also has to take the care of the type of product required in the demand over a long period of time, and what will be the changes of that one, so that the demand assessment should be made near to actual one. So in a recent market expansion, we can have a fulfill the market with our actual level of demand. We should very clear about the stability and responsiveness of two opposite criteria. This stability and responsiveness, there is a trade-off that one. So we should have a trade-off between stability and responsiveness are the two opposite criteria, and a compromise is necessary. So it should be possible to operate a forecasting system in two modes, in a stable mode and the changes in environment are slow. So in responsive mode, when there is a significant development and affect the generation of demand. So definitely we have to see that what type of forecasting we are going to do that. That should must have a stability and responsiveness. So they are the different types of opposite criteria is there. So we see that how to match the two opposite criteria to have a good forecast. Benefit to cost ratio means a cost benefit analysis, means if anything is designed, then what will be the benefit and what will be the cost to incur to him, and what will be our production cost, what will be the sale cost. So there is a chance of profit is there. So it is a viable to manufacture a product or a feasible to place in the market. So to earn the profit, that is called benefit to cost ratio. The ratio of benefit derived out of forecast to the cost of developing and operating, it can be termed as benefit to cost or simply B to C ratio. It is one single criteria of the performance for the forecast and can be useful applied rather than the many output together. The useful of this criterion will provide time consuming complicated forecast method being employed for the development of forecast when the quality of decision made with the forecast is known to remain unchanged. Means what we are forecasting it, what we are forecasting and assessment of demand is there. What is the benefit of that to do that? So the single criterion of performance of forecast, definitely this performance of forecast can be measured, that how it benefit to the organizations and what will be the cost for choosing this for this input data forecast to output data forecast. So it is a use of this criteria will provide the time consuming, because it will take time completed the complicated forecasting method being employed for development of forecast when quality of decision made with the forecast is doing unchanged. Demand forecasting method within the sphere of qualitative and quantitative forecasting, because they are the definitely if we are going to forecast, we can quantify the thing and we can also measure the quality in what quality it is. So there are the several different methods to use to predict the demand. Collective opinion with the leverage to knowledge and experience of a company's sales team to aggregate the historical data on the customer demand. Customer survey method which provide a sales forecast but a harder predict the actual demand. Barometric method which involves the using the economic indicator to predict the trends and measure the current and past and future activity. Expert opinion method involves the soliciting expert advice from the external competitor to determine the future activity. Means we have some journals also, engineering journals, and having trade journals or trade summit by which we can know what are the method for the demand forecasting will be there. The market experiment method which utilize market experiment call under controlled condition to inform the retailers on consumer behavior. Means what type of product we have to launch, we have to inform the retailers to inform the customer. So what is the customer behavior on that one, we can measure it, and what are in that way we can have a measure the demand is there, we can forecast the demand. So there is statistical method which allow a company to identify and analyze the relationship between the different variable, establish performance history over the time, identify the trends and extrapolate the potential future trends. Means we have a past data, we can extrapolate it, or we can extrapolate it to know the future demand is there. So definitely by extrapolation, one of the best method, statistical method of the forecasting. So this way we can have an assessment of the demand of the future. Now, what we have taught in the summary. Before going to summary, I am telling you to have an extensive study in your course material, and illustrations and examples must be studied in thorough way, so that a practical exposure should be there to know about that what is the demand, what is forecasting, what is the forecasting system, what is the forecasting methods. So what is the constraint of that one, what is the system in which forecast, how we measure the error in coming of the forecasting methods. So this all should know about that one, because the illustrations in the course material will give a practical exposure of that one. And the summary which you have, that forecasting play a key role in determining material requirements that constitute inventory, its establishing production plan. In this unit, we have already studied the importance of demand forecasting in business. Forecasting provides a basis of coordination of plans for activity in various parts of company. It provides the vital information to the company. Therefore, the proper care should be exercised in the estimating forecast. Means, by doing the forecast, we have already discussed the classification of forecast for the different time horizon. Suppose we short range planning, a medium planning, and a long range planning. So these are the three main time horizon forecast is there. Developing a forecasting system is not simple. It must be done because forecasting is a fundamental to any planning effort. Forecasting is the basis of corporate long range planning. So we already discussed that long range planning is for the corporate planning. In corporate planning, we have to know that what type of finance we needed, what type of product we have to launch. So what is the feasibility of product? So what will be the technologies to which you win? What is the engineering to which you win? Suppose after 5 years or after 10 years or after 20 years, what type of technology will be there? So how the product is manufactured in optimized cost? So how the operational efficiency will be improved? So by this way, long range planning, corporate planning should be there, so that a blueprint should be prepared for the product manufacturing and its marketing in the sales in the market. So the next point is that one, the forecasting is the basis of corporate long range planning in the functional area of finance and accounting. Means what type of finance we needed, how much finance we needed, what will be the source of finance. Forecast provide the basis of budgetary planning, cost control, production and operation, personnel. Use forecast to make the periodic decision involving process selections, capacity planning, facility layout, and marketing depends on the sales forecasting to plan the new products. Marketing key decision, forecast error is the difference one between the forecast value, what actually occurred. Error can become from a variety of sources. One common source that can forecast the unaware of the projecting the past trends in the future. Error can be a basis error and random errors, standard errors, or mean squared error and mean absolute deviations are the terms to use to describe the degree of error. They are the keywords. We must know the course material by the keywords: dependent demand, independent demand, time series analysis. Means the dependent demand, independent demand, and time series analysis. What should be there? Exponential smoothing constant alpha, mean absolute deviation, tracking the signals. So these are coming in the keywords which we know that way. So we can having a detailed and comprehensive talk about the demand forecast planning methods. Error is coming in that way. We have to measure the efficiency of the forecasting system, and we have to measure the error is coming that way. So this way, this entire requirement of this course is of this chapter is finished. So you must study your course materials in a thorough way, and you must study the illustration and the examples in giving that way. That way you should know about the actual thing, and I conclude that by that way study you can have a practical exposure of the things happenings. Thank you.